You know, one of the great Catholic sources that I really enjoy and that I love spending time with and getting our shot of vitamin T. It's time for a conversation with Teresa Tomeo. Good morning, Teresa.
Hey there.
A Catholic treasure.
How are you guys?
Doing great. How are you?
Good. We are well. We're a little, tired. We had a big pilgrimage, 53 people. We took all over Rome and then all over Umbria and then back to Rome before they went home. So it's been a busy month. We had 2 pilgrimages and many guests in our home here, but it's all a blessing. So it's great. Just super busy.
I want to ask you, and we've got some other things to cover, but I want to jump right at this. We've had some time now with Pope Leo, and obviously the excitement about the new papacy. He's got his first papal document. Well, it's not an encyclical, papal. Whatever the official title is.
Apostolic letter.
Apostolic letter.
Called,
Thank you very much for that. And thanks for rescuing me on that. I appreciate that. After I looked stupid for about 15 seconds. Yeah. But in any case, we're really getting to know him. And I see how that's happening in the United States, but you have a different vantage point. How is he continuing to be received in Italy?
Well, he is received extremely well to the point where the audiences are absolutely packed, whether it's an audience or whether it's the Angelus message on Sunday. And we were talking to our tour guide on the ground, Isabella, who's with us throughout the whole trip. She stays on the bus with us, and then we meet the local tour guides for the different churches and whatnot. But she said there has never been any larger audiences for them. I mean, it's huge. I mean, it goes all the way back. For example, they fill up St. Peter's Square, and then they go all the way back down toward the Conciliazione, toward the Tiber River. People are lining up. I'm telling you, used to be security would open about 7. It still opens about the same time, but they're lining up at like 5 o'clock in the morning to get into St. Peter's Square for the audience. So that's crazy. So that, and then of course the Angelus, and any event he does is just packed, and not just with Americans, but people from all over the world. So he is being very well received right now, and I think it's because he's has a very peaceful spirit about him and is very welcoming. So we look forward to seeing more and more crowds in one way, because we're glad people are coming to Rome. But if you are going on pilgrimage, pack your patience, because it is filled to the brim. It is really crowded.
Speaking of pilgrimages, Teresa, what was your favorite part of this last pilgrimage that you have been a part of?
Oh my gosh. I think probably, Pat, we had Mass at one of our favorite little off the beaten path shrines. It's called Madonna del Bagne, Madonna of the Bath, because this little church is located actually only 15 minutes from our house here in central Italy, near the beautiful town of Deruta. And inside this church, which is actually built in Thanksgiving to the wife being cured by a married couple, inside this church are all these plaques for graces received. You see it on the wall. All these plaques going back, and I wrote an article on this for the National Catholic Register last year. The plaques date back something like 500-600 years to when the actual miracle occurred. There was a man who was going to work after seeing that his wife was very sick, and he was praying for her, and he came across this image of Our Lady and baby Jesus in a tree. It was a piece of broken ceramic that someone had put on the tree. And so he asked for our Blessed Mother's intercession. And when he got home that night, she was cured. So as a way of thanking the Blessed Mother and Christ for that healing, they got together with the local townspeople and built this tiny little church. Now, every person can go in there, and if they have, say, have a prayer answered, or if there is some sort of a tragedy averted, they can pray. But they can also commission the local ceramicists in Deruta. And you see these plaques with all these different images of prayers answered. It's so beautiful. And we had a marriage mass there, and our pastor, our spiritual director, Father Frankie Cicero, gave such a beautiful homily about the witness to prayer and to marriage. And we all took our picture in front of the altar, and we all renewed our vows. So that probably was my favorite. But the entire area, people were just blown away. We went out to Cascia, which was gorgeous. We went to a new winery. That was a lot of fun. And the colors are absolutely spectacular right now here in Italy.
Wow.
How
far are you again, Teresa, from Rome?
We're 2 hours north of Rome.
Okay.
Just about 2 hours north. Yeah.
We are seeing record numbers of OCIA candidates throughout the United States of America. Diocese to diocese, we're seeing all of this growth for the church throughout the world. But another thing that I'm seeing, and I just want to see, is this just a bias of my own? I think that there's a turning toward Our Lady, both inside and outside the church, from all kinds of corners, that maybe is the thing that is bringing people into the church, but there does seem to be an honoring of Our Lady going on in a way that I haven't seen it in my lifetime.
I would agree with that. And I think also what's helping, and I'm sure you're familiar with this story, that Charlie Kirk, before he was assassinated, he actually spoke about the Blessed Mother and he challenged his fellow evangelicals to reconsider her role and talking about how important she was. And so he was such a powerful conservative leader. So I'm wondering if more and more people are looking into that. Of course, that was pretty recent before he died. But I agree, and I think the Holy Father, and I think our previous Pope was very Marian because he went to see that beautiful icon every single time he left for a trip or came back to a trip in St. Mary Major, and he's buried there now. And it's really phenomenal. But you know what? Our Lady, Mama, Mama Mary, she's the mother of the church, the Queen of all saints. So I'm not surprised by it because I think people need hope right now. And of course, it's always good to turn to your mom in times of trouble and need.
Teresa, are there anything anything special that happens around All Saints Day in your area?
Yeah, it's interesting you asked that question because in our area in central Italy, we live in a lot of small towns. And so the local churches, as a matter of fact, I had an appointment this morning and we were walking by our little church up the street and they were getting it all cleaned and ready. And they actually do little events and processions at the cemeteries, and they have events at the churches at the end of their visit to the cemetery. So there's a lot of that. And not too much Halloween. It's very interesting. Halloween, we're having a little dinner on Friday night in our little town where they're just going to get together and give the kids some candy, and then we're going to have some music and a light dinner. But it's not like a huge deal here. And what I love is that they don't emphasize all this, darkness in terms of Halloween.
Yeah.
They have some pumpkins and they have some fall decorations. But in terms of All Saints Day, I would say individually in the little towns and their churches. And then, of course, this Saturday, the Holy Father is going to be naming, speaking of All Saints, John Henry Newman is going to be named a doctor of the church, which is pretty exciting. So yeah, there are some things going on in the individual communities as well as in Rome.
What you got coming up? What's the next thing on the agenda?
Next thing on the agenda, this is pretty exciting. I am going to be taping the second part of my Saints in Italy series.
nice.
It's going to be St. Francis Beyond Assisi. So we're going to be going to different towns. We'll start in Assisi at some of the places that people aren't too familiar with, but then we're going to go to places like Gubbio and Spoleto and Laverna and Greccio. So we tape for 3 days, and we have a meeting later this week, so I'll be able to tell you a little bit more about it next week. A wonderful photographer from EWTN, Anthony Johnson, with whom I've worked before on the first Saints in Italy series. By the way, you can still sign up for that through EWTN.com/Saints in Italy. We've had close to 10,000 people signing up for the series. And it's a nice little study about the saints. We have reflection questions. There's a little book that goes with it, an online booklet. So that's the next big project, and hopefully also working on a book on St. Francis as well.
Look, if you're thinking of a pilgrimage to Italy, one, get in touch with Teresa, teresatomeo.com. Also, sign up for that series. And then if you're not thinking of going to Italy on a pilgrimage, sign up for that series, and then you will be thinking about going on a pilgrimage to Italy.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you, Teresa. That's
God bless you.
teresatomeo.com.
Bye, Teresa.
Ciao.